Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So recently I upgraded the injectors in this 2002 Camaro SS, and I bought the injectors through Deechworks, which include all the injector data. I put all that in, and the car's running extremely lean. So it's going to be fully tuned, so I figured I might as well do a video on tuning. Okay, so right now what we're doing, we're tuning the speed density, which is the volumetric efficiency. To do the speed density table, it takes quite a bit of driving. Usually I burn a full tank, maybe even two, if I want to dial it in real good. Okay, so I just had the car out, and here's what we got for numbers. I'll just slide this over here. I didn't fill in a lot because I didn't, just taking it easy right now, because you see right here, these red ones all mean it's lean. These green ones are all rich. Now the reason I said it was really lean, and it was, it's showing rich now because I went and increased everything by like 5% or so, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to stop the scanner. Okay, now I can shut the car off. And I'm going to open up my tune. Okay, so the tune that I'm currently using is SD tuning. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go back to our log, and I'm going to copy everything. Then in the SD tune, I'm going to go to engine, airflow, and then main VE table, primary. I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to paste special, multiply by half. So I'm going to save that. Okay, so I got that SD tune opened up. I'm just going to go back into the VE table. Now, the reason it's showing rich in some areas, because what I did, I highlighted this whole table, and then I increased it by 5%, and that helped down in the low load area, but when you go wide open throttle, it's still quite lean. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably go in here, and maybe we'll just go right in this area here, and I'll increase that by, we'll say, 1 more percent. So when it comes to tuning, you got a couple things you want to do. You gotta dial in your speed density table, or your that's what everyone calls it, speed density, but in the system it's actually listed as volumetric efficiency table. And then you got to tune in your MAF. And basically what you do, okay, this is the tune we're using right here. I'll call this the base tune. The speed density and this mass airflow tune, they got to be identical to this one here, with a few exceptions. One, I usually remove, probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 degrees of total timing out of these ones here, just to make them safer for tuning. And there's a couple changes has to be made for each one. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put 2 videos in the description, and those 2 videos will explain how to set both of these up, and how to set up your scanner to get the information you want. Okay, so basically what happens when you're on this SD tuning, the car does all its fuel calculations based off the speed density table, or I should say volumetric efficiency table, and it ignores the mass air meter, and it ignores the factory O2 sensors. And then this MAF tuning one, it does just the opposite. It ignores the volumetric efficiency tables, and it ignores the factory O2s, and it does all its fuel calculations off the mass air meter. Okay, and so what you want to do is get these as close as possible to being 100% accurate. You'll never hit 100%, but you usually want to shoot between 1 and 3%. And in order to do this stuff, you got to have a good wideband sensor, and you have that hooked into HB tuners. And okay, so I guess now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that SD tune back into the car. It's been updated from this last drive, and we'll take it out again. Okay, so one thing I should mention before you start up your scanner, before you start recording, you got to start the car up. And see, the wideband, it takes a while to warm up, so you don't want to start recording until the wideband's running. So we're just going to connect right now, but we're not going to hit record until this here should go to like 12, 13, or 14. It takes probably 30 seconds or so to warm up. We'll hit the record button, and we'll go in here to SD error, and it's slightly rich, I think, or slightly lean, sorry. Yeah, so it's still slightly lean. Okay guys, so I just had it out for another trip. We got a little more data this time. Down here. And as you can see, it's still quite lean in a lot of areas. But anyway, we'll stop the recorder. And again, you gotta open up the VCM editor, load my SD tune. Under engine, airflow, primary VE, back to the scanner, copy everything, then we paste special, multiply by half. Then we save that, tune it in, and go out again. Okay, so while I still got the recorder going, I should show how you actually flash in a tune. So you open up your VCM editor, then you open up the tune that you want. In this case, we're still tuning the speed density, so we're going to put that one back in. Then you turn the ignition on. You don't start it. Then you go up here and you click right. And it'll bring this up, and then you hit right again. And it'll go through this process. I'm not sure how long it takes. Probably 30 seconds, 45 seconds maybe. You let it right, you don't hit nothing. And it goes and it does a cleanup process, and then it says write complete, so you can just hit close. Okay guys, so we got a problem. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'll open up the speed density tune, go under the VE table. I pretty well got it dialed in, but I need to show you something. Look here. There's no way that this engine's reaching 100% volumetric efficiency. And in some places, it's 114, 117. Now, while I like to think this engine works that good, it doesn't. And I'm going to compare this to my tune that I had from my original 28-pound injectors. Okay, so this here is the VE table now. And this is the VE table before. You can see that it would only reach 100% volumetric efficiency right around 4,400 to 5,200, which is about right for the can that I have in it. So obviously there's something definitely wrong. And I'll show you this too on the mass air meter. Okay, so here's my MAF tune. Now when I put it in, it was super lean at idle. So what I ended up having to do, I had to increase this by, I think I went 25% to get it to the point where it was actually running rich, so I could tune it and bring it down. Okay, so I can only think of two explanations as to why I'm having this problem. One is the injectors they give me aren't actually what they say they are. They're not actually, I think it rated them at 54 pounds per hour at 58 psi. So either the injectors aren't the right size, or the car actually has an issue and it's not actually reaching the 58 psi. So first thing I got to do is I'm going to have to order myself a fuel pressure gauge and check the fuel pressure. Okay guys, so I ended up getting a cheap fuel pressure gauge from Amazon. I hooked it up the car. Of course the hose isn't long enough to run to the windshield, so I can't do the wide open throttle thing to see if it's still reading at 58 psi, but at idle it is. And this problem exists even at idle all the way through. So anyway, I'm going to try something, whether it'll work or not. But anyway, if you go on, for example, go to Fuel Injector Clinic, they got 445 cc injectors, which mine are 440. And it says at 58 psi, they're rated at 50 pounds. Now, the data that I got says 54.3. Now, when I go to, there's a calculator on here from, I think it's, okay, so Witch Hunter Performance has a calculator here. So we got old pressure. The injectors I got are rated at 42 pounds at 43.5 psi. And we're running at 58. So we put 42 pound injector in here. Now calculate. It says 48.5. Now that works out to be very similar to what Fuel Injector Clinic is saying about their 445 cc injectors. They're saying 50 psi. So I'm thinking this calculator might be right, and that's the difference of 5.5 pounds per hour. So I'm going to change this to 48.5. Okay, we're going to go back to the flow rate versus KPA. This is the data that they give us. So I've also got the stock injectors. These here is the stock 28 pound injectors. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this to around somewhere between 48 and 49 pounds per hour. So I'm going to put 1.03. So we times it by that. We're going to raise it 3% at a time. It'll scale. It'll scale clear across here. So we'll just keep times in that until we hit close to 48.5. Okay, so we got 48.9. That's what we're going to use. Okay, the other thing I got to do is I got to take all this new information that I got with those injectors. I got to put this all back to what it was before I put the injectors in. That way I get a good starting point. For example, like I said, these numbers are way too high. So we got to go back to our old table, which is more realistic. Copy that. And paste it in here. There should be no difference between the tables. So I got to do that for that, the VE table and the mass airflow. So go back here, copy all these. Put them back in here. There should be no difference. Should all be zeros. And I got to do the same thing to my my MAF tuning table and my SD table. Basically what we're doing, we're going right back to where I was before I changed the injectors. And I got new injector info in there, and I will see how rich or lean it is. I'm thinking it's probably still going to be slightly lean, but if it's just a little lean, that's fine. But 117% in the VE table, that's way too much. So the reason for it being lean all over the place is because the car thinks there's a bigger injector in there than what there really is. So it's not injecting enough fuel. That's why it's lean all over the place. Now, dropping the injector down to 48 pounds per hour means that it'll hold the injector open longer and put a little more fuel in it. But anyway, that's what I believe is going to happen. We'll find out. Okay, guys, so here's where we're at now. It's still showing lean, but it's a lot better than it was the first time I started this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the scanner. I'm going to open up our SD tuning under airflow, primary VE. I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to add 5%. Now the idea here is what I want to start out, I want it to be rich and then work my way down instead of start lean and work my way up. It's just safer that way. So we'll save that and flash it in the car. Okay guys, so I'm back from my first trip out after changing the injectors from 54 pounds per hour to 48. And 48's definitely much closer if you look at this here. Now I richened it up by 4 or 5%, and if I hadn't of it probably would have been even closer in some of these areas. Okay, guys, so I've been struggling trying to get this car tuned with these new injectors, and it's not that you can't get it dialed in, you can. Problem is the volumetric efficiency tables, the numbers are way too high, which means it's not accurate. So just for the fun of it, I thought, well, what if they sent me the wrong injectors? Now the package says it's 42-pound injectors, but I don't know, don't act like it. But anyway, so what I did, they also sell a 39-pound injector. So I went on and just downloaded all the injector data for it, and then I put it in the tune here, and then I put my volumetric efficiency table back to where it was before I put the injectors in, and this here's what I got for results, and they're a lot closer. If you look at them, like a lot of these ones here, they're right where they would have been had I not changed the injectors. If I was just retuning the car, you'd get numbers like this. Now there's a few here that are a little on the rich side, but rich isn't too bad. I'd rather be rich anyway than lean. And I did a couple of wide open throttle passes just real quick, so I didn't get a lot of data. But here's what we ended up with. Shows that it's a little lean, but not by much. Okay guys, so I just had the car out again, and okay, these numbers here, don't pay much attention to them. That's at idle, and I've modified the mass air meter. I removed the screen, and I put I got videos up anyway where I modified it, so I'm never going to be able to get my mass air meter to read correctly down in here. This here's at idle, but look at these other numbers. Like, it's real close already. And I've only been out a couple trips, and I didn't go very far. And now I haven't done any wide open throttle just yet. I give it a little throttle there. I just want to make sure it's not lean before I do. But yeah, it's tuning in real easy here now, so I think I'm on the right track. So anyway, we'll put these numbers in, and we'll take her out some more. But this is what you got to do. Just keep driving it around. You'll never get these down to 0, and if you did, if you went out the next day and checked it, it would be different again. But this here, I try to shoot for like 3%, and right here, most of these numbers are less than 3%. So she's dialing in pretty good now. Okay, guys, so after 2 tanks of fuel and a new wideband sensor, this is what I end up with. I'm still not real happy with it. These numbers here seem a little high, but still a lot better than what it was. So now I'm just going to do some more tuning on the mass air meter, and then I'm going to call it good. Okay, guys, so we got the tuning all done. And after that, what I did, I reset the long-term and short-term fuel trims. So, and I took it out for probably 20-25 minute drive. Here's what we got right here. This here's the short terms. So we're pretty close. There's a few that are off. And then on the long term, it's not looking too bad. Now what you can do is, I believe you can take these and tighten it up a little bit more. I'm not 100% sure which one you use, whether you use the short terms or the long terms. This is the thing about being when you don't have the experience, and there's no one I can ask, and I'm not going to pay somebody to tell me. So maybe that's what we'll do before I end this video. So I'm going to shut the scanner off. I'm going to turn the car off. And I'm going to copy these here. This here's the long-term one. I don't know whether I should go by the short-term or the long-term. But I'm going to try the long-term ones. So we'll just copy. Okay, so we'll open up the VE table. And I'll just paste special, multiply by half. It probably didn't change a whole lot, because they're pretty close. It just changed a little bit in this area here. So we'll take it out one more time and try it. But I'm happy with the way it is right now, as far as that goes. But I'll flash this in and see if that helps. Okay, guys, so I checked, and apparently these short-term fuel trims, they reset every time you turn the car off. Now, these long-term ones are the ones that are saved. So anyway, I took the car out this time, probably 20-minute drive. I never come on the car, I'm just driving it easy, because these fuel trims are only for light load and stuff anyway. When you go wide open throttle, it doesn't really pay attention to the O2s, as far as I know. So anyway, here's where it is now. So I'd say the tune's pretty close. There's a couple areas that need a little bit of work, but I'm going to leave it for now. I'm satisfied with it. So anyway, guys, I almost forgot to show you the new injector duty cycle. It's 66.5%, and it wasn't quite 100% throttle, but it was at 6,357 RPM, and that's with the air-fuel ratio at 11.8. The reason it's so rich is because before I started tuning, I took the power enrichment and put it back to stock, whereas on my original tune before the injectors, I think I removed like 3 or 4% from stock. So that there, I'll dial that in eventually. I'll bring that up to 12.5, 12.8, somewhere around there. But that's good that the injectors are only at 66%, so that gives me a lot of overhead. Anyway, guys, that's it. I got her all tuned, or tuned well enough for me. Had a lot of issues. Had to buy a new wideband, but we got her after a while. Okay, so these videos aren't necessarily meant to teach you how to tune. It's just kind of showing you how I do it. Now, I may be doing it the wrong way, I don't know. But if you really want to learn, I prefer you go watch people like Goat Rope Garage, and there's 2 or 3 more on there now that are really good tuners. But more or less, I just want to show that a regular person can tune. And again, like I said, I don't know if I'm doing it right or not, but it seems to be working out. And as far as drivability goes, this car drives perfect. And Dean's 94 that I've tuned, it runs perfect. There's no drivability issues. Now, some of the things I left out in this, like timing. Now, the timing on this car, I've over several years, I've kind of got it right where I think it's perfect. It's probably not perfect, A dyno is real useful for dialing in the timing. But anyways, when it comes to timing, my advice to anybody would be to start out with the factory timing, and then over time just play around with it. Don't make any huge changes, and don't try to get as much timing as possible. I had that mindset when I first started tuning this. I had it at 26, and then I moved it up to 27, and I had it up to 28. And while the car didn't run any slower, every now and then the knock sensor would kick in. So anyway, right now the total timing on this car is 25 degrees, and it runs just as fast as it did at 28. The difference is, whereas before I used to get a little knock retard once in a while, I get absolutely none now with it set at 25, and the car runs just as fast as it did at 28 degrees timing. And then on the LT1, the 94 LT1 that's got the torque head on it, I think I went to a maximum of 38 degrees timing on that. We did try lower timing, and it didn't, the car did run slower on it. I've been tempted to try 39, but I think we're just going to leave it at 38. So anyway, when it comes to timing, don't try to get as much timing as possible. Okay, when it comes to air-fuel ratio, I always try to shoot for 12:8. Now, you can never get it 12:8 across the board. It'll be, some places it'll be 12:5, some places it might even go as high as 13:1. Now, I think a lot of these cars run best around 13:1 or so, but the difference between 12:8 and 13, the power-wise, would be very, very small, so you might as well have it a little bit safer. So I always shoot for a 12:8, and if I end up running 12.5, that's fine, because the difference in power between 12.5 and say 13:1, I don't think it's all that much, and it's better to have the car on the safe side. Anyway guys, I hope this video helps somebody out, and we'll catch you in the next one.